Welcome. It's your guy Breeze with the SPARC Cast. I'm here joined today by Rick Rutherford of Minuteman Press. I'll let you introduce yourself, my man.
Yeah, how's it going, Breeze? Rick Rutherford, Minuteman Press, Silverado Ranch. If you want to know where we're a mile east of South Point Casino on Silverado Ranch in Bermuda.
Very nice. If you guys haven't already, you can find us at SPARC Networking LV or SPARC Networking on all social platforms. SPARCnetworking.com if you want to check out the website as well. So it's good to talk with you today, Rick. I've been looking forward to this all week, most definitely. Before we go super far, I always ask, what is your why for getting into business in the first place?
My why, I guess corporate America didn't want me anymore. Bought a big house, and then the next month it was like, guess what? We're moving. And I was not going to move to Missouri.
Yeah. You had some kind of ways or family out in Missouri that would have shoved you that direction?
No, not at all. It's just being from the West Coast. You know, I like being in the desert. I like Las Vegas. I like being in Phoenix, and moving anywhere else. I like the weather here. I like it warm. I don't think it's as warm when you go anywhere else outside of the Southwest. So. We made a decision one day that we were going to buy a nice big house. We were both with AT&T.
Yeah.
And AT&T decided they were going to close my office and move. And good luck to all those people who moved to Lee Summit. At that point, I looked around, I saw what my choices were, and it was like, there's not many choices out here. Right. So I said, I think I'm done working for someone else.
Yeah.
And so I started looking around. I started looking for businesses, and I looked for, building your own business, starting your own, looking at franchises, looking at corporate locations, things like that. And I kind of fell into the franchise model. So I like, that's what we like. That's what we understand the best. And, the rest, 18 years later, we've just started another one. So this is our fourth one.
Yeah. What is a determining factor for you when it comes to choosing to do franchise? Because going into business for the first time, it's not easy, but then you're kind of leaning on, some of the structures of another brand. But it's going from corporate into business and then already going straight into franchises. Other people, they usually go the latter, right? They do their own thing and then they realize the values of having a franchise.
Yeah. And, that's what we realized early on. First of all, when you're building your own business, you're kind of reinventing the wheel and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I get my business started? How do I do the marketing? How do I take care of problems? How do I, make the machines work? Things like that.
Right.
With the franchise, we decided we're going to pick a recognizable name, definitely stay out of food. And when it came right down to it, I used to be a trainer, and my method of training was start with a big book, about 300 pages.
Right.
And when the training was over, start on page 1. When the training was over, you are done training, and now it's time for them to get out there and start working. Yeah. They've learned everything they can in 300 pages. So
I'm almost like force them at page 10 to just get out there and do it while you read it.
Yeah. So when I went my first franchise interview, I went there and they gave me a book with 300 pages. It's like, I know how to do this. Right. Start at page 1, and when I get to 300, I'm ready to open my business. And pretty much, I would say, I think I had this idea in January of 2005 to go into business for myself. We were finished working in the corporate world March of 2005, and then every day I got up and I pulled out my book and I went through a chapter and I completed the tasks that I needed to do in order to open my business. And our first business was the UPS stores.
Nice.
Very recognizable name. You can mention UPS to anybody and they know where they've all done business with UPS or the UPS stores. And the bottom line is 4,000 stores, you can't miss them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody in the area needs them or is looking directly for that thing.
Right.
So
Right.
What are some of the benefits that you have now with Minuteman Press versus, the UPS side?
Well, Minuteman Press, first of all, I've never been in the printing business, although I ran copy machines in the UPS stores I probably had, I don't know, a dozen copy machines there. So I kind of had a good idea of what buttons to push.
Right.
But when it came right down to it, it's very easy to get trained on this. There's a lot of support from a lot of vendors, a lot of support from the home office. The one thing I do notice is with UPS and the UPS stores, I would get a Super Bowl ad. I would have advertising at a baseball stadium. I would have advertising on a NASCAR a couple times a year.
Yeah.
I don't really see that with Minuteman Press, but you know what? I just got to convince somebody to do that.
Yeah. So there's a ton of people in the franchising, world. A lot of times I don't see them step outside of whatever the business actually gives them. So if it is, placements in a newspaper or TV spots, that's really all that they're doing to push the business. Versus you actually go out there and find business for yourself as well. So what kind of was the determining factor there to where you're just like, you know what, I'm not going to lean on just the franchise. I want to go find business, networking.
Yep. You know what, in a business, doesn't matter whether it's a franchise or you're trying to build your business, you just cannot wait for customers to come in.
Yeah.
You got to be out there letting them know that you're there. Otherwise, you're the best kept secret. So I'll give you a perfect example. I would go to the bank, make my deposit at the bank, ask one of the tellers, you guys want to go do some networking? You want to walk around the shopping center and talk to new customers? We would take stacks of business card. I'd be taking coupons. I'd be taking 100 free copies. They'd be taking, interest rate sheets and things like that. And we would go business to business. And we would say, hey, by the way, I'm with the UPS store and here is my friend. She's with MidFirst Bank.
Right.
And guess what? There were sometimes people would say, wow, I didn't even know you were over there. So at that point, all of a sudden, I had a potential new customer.
That's like almost cut from a different cloth now to be able to go business to business just to let people know.
Yeah.
People are so reliant on just digital means that they're scared to actually go shake hands and meet people in person. Do you feel like that's a much bigger source of business for you, is talking to people and actually shaking hands and making these connections?
Yes. Yes, definitely. I mean, I do a lot of networking. I belong to networking groups. I attend chamber events. I'm with, I always talk to people about my business. I always make sure they have business cards that we trade, things like that. And the bottom line is, everybody has a service that they can offer you or they need your service. So, sometimes you find the right person. And it might be somebody who can help your business in the trade. It might be somebody that, let's say you need something done at your house. Guess what?
Yeah.
You start talking to people and meet with them and things like that. You're building that relationship for a future business.
Yeah, it's underrated because, man, the people that you find first sometimes are the most expensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they maybe don't have the level of customer care because they're so big, versus knowing a couple of people that have, a more boutique style of doing business. I think it's super underrated to be able to find people like that in every space.
Yeah. And that's what we try to do. We are in Las Vegas. We try to support a lot of local vendors, trade vendors in Las Vegas. Two things happen. You build this relationship where you know what they can do, and then you know what pricing you can expect. The other thing you don't have to worry about is high shipping costs. Let's say from Illinois or Michigan or Texas or wherever it's coming in from.
Or everywhere now.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. When you tell people what something costs, and then all of a sudden you got to add on $146 for 100 banners, it kind of takes the value out of things when you have to pay that much for another service.
Even though you try to get them to understand this is just the shipping cost, it's outside of us, it still stings at the end of the day. It's the bottom line number that they have to deal with. When you first started in the franchise, how long before you started networking? Or was it like the doors open, the lights are on now, let's get out there and start pushing it out?
Well, let's see. So I started networking well before I was in the franchise business.
Nice.
So one day I used to work for a very small office. I asked, how can I make more money? He said, you got to go out there and just make new customers, meet people and things like that. So I would go out every Wednesday, and back then we called it the Breakfast Club. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of people would get together for breakfast. We'd, introduce ourselves, do a 30-second commercial, pass around business cards, and then people started calling me for new business. And it was like, that's pretty good. Yeah. Then I started doing the door-to-door thing. I would, let's say I was going to visit one customer, I would always hit one on the right side, one on the left side, you know? And it's something as simple as going in, making sure, passing out your business card, making sure they know where you are, and making sure they know you're open, let's say Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturday, 8 to 3, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
You don't have to go in with a hard sell.
Just letting them know that I'm here.
That you're there. That's right. Exactly.
Especially if you know ahead of time that they could utilize your services. You need to just let them know that there is somebody, because you never know. They just went to the first person they found more often than not.
Yep.
No vetting.
Yeah. These days, first of all, back in the day, they would start in the A's in the yellow pages. Mm-hmm. Today, they start with page 1 of Google. Exactly. And they never get to page 2.
Yeah. We have a lower attention span than goldfish is what I was hearing more recently, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'm not going to lie. I did door-to-door for probably like 2 years, mm-hmm. right? So that was me deciding to throw myself in the deep end because I felt like I needed to learn this intrinsic skill of talking to people and shifting them towards buying something or utilizing them as a referral source. And that really shifted the way that I thought about interactions and networking to where I don't think I would do another business without networking, because I just feel like it's way easier to grow it.
Yeah, interesting that you say door to door. I'm going to tell you, probably half the time I will listen to somebody going door to door.
I respect it, yeah.
Every once in a while, it's not just somebody coming in to sell you something. It really is the business owner out there going door to door. Right. In fact, surprisingly, this month we've had probably 2 going door to door. So they're just out there, trying to grow their business and doing the right thing. And the bottom line is, if you want to make more money, you need more customers. So that's what it takes sometimes. You got to go door to door.
And there's so many people around you at any given time. The person that needs your service, you probably walk past 3-4 times during the day, just going from different places, right? So I definitely understand. It feels super crazy now having so much tech in front of your face and then having so many people in proximity to not just shake the hand of the person next to you,
Yeah, I think we all get busy, extra busy with, how am I gonna do the business today? What orders do we have coming in? Things like that, right. Where we kind of forget that, hey, maybe we just need to go next door. Like in our building, we have 8 units, including mine. So sometimes it's like a new business opening up. Hey, by the way, I just wanted to come by and introduce myself. I'm with Minuteman Press. If you want to do any printing, that's all it takes.
Right.
A simple introduction. And that way, the new guy opening the new business next door to you, he knows he can come over anytime.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they used to set up the plazas like that to where all of the businesses in this one section all work together.
Yeah.
Or kind of simultaneously work together.
Yeah.
I can't remember what side of town I went to the other day, but they had a company that does trusts, a company that helps you grow your business, like just marketing, and then a company that will help you on the legal side.
Yep.
And you can see that they all just work together on the bill. Yep. Their little sign out front, they all are in synergy.
Yeah, when they take, let's say, all those professional businesses and stick them all in the same area, you never know when somebody needs to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, almost always.
Yeah.
Almost always they're just separating the amount of time that it takes. They'll go one day and then the next Friday, the next week, then they're going back to the same place to go next door. if you can just grab them right there, it's way better, especially if you know each other and can make the referral.
Yeah. You know, one of my stores was next to a Starbucks, and I'm going to tell you, the number of people that needed to drop something off and pick up a cup of coffee all in the same trip, it was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
I probably had this was back in right before the pandemic, we probably were doing about 325 customers a day, whether they were coming in to pick up packages, drop off mail something, UPS, whatever. And then, of course, we had a bunch of other customers who would come in to drop off UPS packages, drop off Amazon packages, things like that.
Right.
All of those people found out where we were just because of the fact that they would be steered in there by advertising and things like that, whether it was radio advertising or TV spots or, you know, Amazon drop-off spots or whatever the case may be.
Right.
They were all steered in there. And I was fortunate to be in what they call maybe a power center for shopping centers.
Yeah.
And now when people talk about those four corners, I think they just call it the four corners now.
Yeah. There's something about real estate, man. It's super, super important.
Yeah.
How long have you been a part of SPARC, or how did you even get to the group?
So I would probably say I think I've been in about 2 years now. And I've always looked for networking groups that don't waste my time.
Yeah.
SPARC is one of those. I mean, you know, you meet a good group of people. We have an agenda or a program. You have a good time doing networking, things like that. And honestly, the people there are good. They're good business owners. You see them every week. You know what they're doing. And a few of them are my vendors, and quite a few of them are my customers.
Right. Yeah.
So
it helps to have those referrals, and it helps to actually know that people around you are thinking of you outside of just the networking group.
yes.
So I get that a lot, and then it always reminds me like, oh, okay, wow, this is really worth its weight in gold to just have people come to me directly from other people in the group.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you know, sometimes, and I'm going to be honest with you, I enjoy watching the stuff online that some of our members put out there.
Right.
It's interesting, and sometimes it's some of the best stuff on the internet, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm glad to start putting that bug in people's ear and get them doing some social media content now as well. So the events, the workshops, everything that we're able to do now, and I think now we're doing the speed networking app that they're working on. You know, I'm excited to see the fruition of that, man. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, well, I know what you're putting out there. It's always interesting to listen to. It kind of makes me think about my business and why I'm not doing more of it.
Yeah.
But I only have so many hours in a day, and you know, if I could do more, I would do more. But
yeah, does the franchise put any limitations on you when it comes to doing marketing? When it comes to anything, you know, outside of just you have to use our logos, you have to use our colors?
You know, I don't know that many franchises put limitations, but they always have ideas that you can go out there and do things. It's just that, how do you know what works?
Right.
You know, how do you know if it's a mail piece? How do you know if it's an online piece? How do you know if it's, you know, something like the podcast?
Yeah.
How do you know what works? You don't know what it works until somebody tells you, hey, by the way, I saw your ad. I saw your podcast. I got your card in the mail, whatever. I got your discount card.
Yeah.
Then you know it works.
Have to have a way to track it for sure. That's like probably the harder thing now. I just try to put out so many feelers that it doesn't really matter where they're coming from, but I should have an abundance, you know, even if it's just one from each source.
Right.
You know, that's the first thing I kind of teach is just make yourself omni-directional. You know?
Right. And, you know, I think back in 2005 when I first started, when we started our first UPS store, people always wanted me to advertise in their publication. They wanted me to be part of their group, things like that. And it was probably about a 5% return of what I was paying. I would get a 5% return in customers, things like that. Now, if anybody tells you you're going to get 5% back, as far as customer counts and things like that, if you're sending out, let's say, I don't know, 100 pieces, it's not really 5 anymore. It's more like 1.
Yeah.
You get about 1% back now.
Have you guys ever sent other people from your business to network on behalf of the company?
Yes.
How did that feel? Because I've done it a couple of times so far, but I'm always nervous as to what they're going to say to people. Are they going to be mindful to keep the contacts and actually bring them back home?
Yeah.
Or, how does that work out for you?
When I send somebody on our behalf, I really look at it as an opportunity for them to get out there and do something a little bit different to grow their business as well.
Yeah.
A perfect example was this past weekend. We were at a networking event and we shared a table with someone. And the great thing about it is I couldn't be there full time.
Yeah.
So my networking partner, he talked about my business. And I ended up getting some business from that weekend. So it's good. So when you're networking out there, you see the person every week, you see them every other week, get to know them, know about their business. The best way about learning about someone's business is actually do business with them.
Right.
If you do business with them, you can pretty much refer them to anybody because you know what they can do.
Mm-hmm. For me too, it's like almost a format to making introductions. Mm-hmm. I try to master that now to where I'm introducing both parties in the best light, trying to give them as much of the kudos and the recognition, the social proofing that I can take care of, because they're already getting the referral from me. So that is a good level of equity for one.
Yes.
But being able to actually talk to their degree of skill and things like that, I think is a whole nother thing versus just saying, oh yes, this is Rick. He can do printing. He can print some things for you and then sending them on your way. I don't think it has like that same kind of feel.
Yeah. I always invite people into our shops. Didn't matter whether I was in the shipping business or whether I was in the printing business, but you invite people into your business so they can actually see what goes on. They can, look at the products. They can ask questions. They can ask, sometimes people just don't know.
Right.
I mean, nobody knows about printing unless you're in the printing business. They don't know. They don't know the questions to ask. Sometimes they really don't care. They just want a good product.
Yeah, they have no baseline for how things even cost or anything.
Right. or how it gets rounded corners on business cards.
Yeah. See, now I thought they just came like that, so you put me on the spot. So where can everybody find you, Rick, online? Okay, so
Minuteman Press, first of all, if you do a Google search for Minuteman Press Silverado Ranch, you can find me there. Mm-hmm. If I've done business with you, it's okay to go on and give me a 5-star review. If you go ahead and if you know where South Point Casino is, just head down Silverado Ranch. You can go ahead and visit me there. And can I give my phone number?
Yeah, please.
So if you want to give me a call, I'm Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Number is 725-780-1148. And either give me a call, drop me an email, things like that. We'll be happy to take care of you.
Very nice. Thank you for joining us on the SPARC Cast.
Thanks, Breeze.
And make sure to catch all the rest of the episodes. More businesses, more networking, more knowledge. We'll see you guys soon. I appreciate it.